Welcome everyone to Cisco Canada's virtual kitchen. Uh, that is not me, as you see in the camera here. Uh, Elise, am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Elise,
Elise. Yeah,
Elise. Okay,
Elise. Yeah.
Elise is one of our. What's your title, Elise? At
A
Cisco?
category growth specialist, so a protein specialist.
Protein. So there are no pressure, Terry. You have a pro on this. I brought my stuff to the show. My gear, bro. I brought a
confident as well.
There you go. Exactly. We also have the legendary. I call it the legendary. I always say this is the legendary chef Terry Port. Terry, welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm super excited about what we're doing today.
And Terry has about 12 cups of coffee in him, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I drink a lot of coffee, a lot. You're lucky I'm not holding the camera because it'd be all jittery.
And we have Ray on the camera, so we are going to have an awesome show today.
Yeah.
So we have an expert in the studio, we have an expert on the camera, we have an expert chef. So we're gonna have an awesome show, folks, here today. Terry, really quickly, what are we tackling today? What's that big in front of you right there? Big chunk of meat.
So what we got here is a beef strip loin. This is probably one of the more common steaks that you'll see, or cuts that you'll see made into a steak in restaurants. A 10-ounce beef strip loin you see tons of times in restaurants. Lots of grocery stores carry it. It's a higher end cut. Quite expensive as well. It's one of those menu items that a lot of restaurateurs might be looking at right now, going, that's an expensive thing to be buying. And if the restaurant's not seeing as many guests rolling through, then it's one of those things that might be on the chopping block, no pun intended. But it's what I'm here today to do is to try and save that item, because it is a beautiful steak, and show how we can avoid purchasing it in the prepackaged, already pre-portioned format, and buy a whole strip loin such as this and clean it down and be able to use every ounce of it and make money off of it, because it's all that trim where the money is made, not the steaks themselves. Buying the pre-portioned is just way too expensive, and like I said, that's probably on the chopping block for a lot of restaurateurs.
Yeah, Elise, did you see that as well?
Yeah, totally. Like the strip loin, like it does change as it goes through, but you don't waste anything really. Like it's a consistent steak all the way through. If you take like a whole ribeye, it
Yeah.
changes as it goes through that entire piece. Whereas the strip loin is incredibly consistent, a very reliable size all the way through. And yeah, like you say, as long as you've got some fun things to do with that, the kind of the end where it goes, you can see where it naturally dips, then you're kind of doing a good job.
Terry, did you do anything to that piece of meat? You didn't like. It looks so
This
good.
one that you see directly in front of me, that is the whole piece that I did not touch. I did not do a thing to. What I did do to it is I've had this unpackaged out of the cryovac that it was in, the shrink wrapping, if you will, and then just had this kind of dry aging in my fridge for the past couple of days. Dry aging, I'm a big proponent of. It helps let out some of the blood to allow the meat to be a little bit more firm, and it helps with the butchery as well. So I do love dry aging a little bit on top of the aging that's done when we receive it at restaurants or in grocery stores, that sort of thing.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, we're going to be back, folks, after this quick message, which is a really cool program. Commercial, and we'll be right back with Chef Terry and the big chunk cow on her tennis cutting board there. Well, I was gonna say his big beef, but that didn't be good either. All right. Here we go. We'll be right back after this.
Imagine both your front and back of house teams are so well trained that they're executing flawlessly. Your front of house is doubling your sales, boosting repeat business, and creating five-star dining experiences, while your back of house is consistently preparing each dish to perfection, on time and to spec. Having a restaurant this dialed takes a unique training system. That's where Serve comes in. Serve means study restaurant variety, and it is a powerful, mobile training system, custom built to meet the needs of your restaurant. Serve will up-level your team's knowledge and skills, maximize your profits, and create experiences guests will rave about. Serve is the key to unlocking your restaurant's hidden potential, and will prove that the more your team is able to learn, the more your restaurant will earn. It's a game changer. Ready to serve? Get started at servenow.com.
Top of the turtleneck. Oh,
All right. I heard turtleneck.
we were just talking about how to holster the iPad that Ray's wearing.
Okay.
And she said she had a turtleneck on. It wasn't going to work.
No worries. All right. Let's get into this.
All right, so you want me to? Okay, so the beef strip loin here, I just switched out from the whole one that I had, and I've got this other whole one that I've done a little bit of prep to already. If you can see, I've already butchered off this back strap that's here, and that pulls off, and you can see there's quite a bit of fat on the one side of it, and over here. That I can butcher down later and get some pieces that we can use. I'm getting a lot of feedback right now.
Okay, try now, Terry. Here's the fun of live TV. Here you go, Terry. Try that.
Okay, thanks. All right, so I pulled off that back strap there. This meat I'm going to butcher down in a moment and pull that off, and there's something how to do that. But then there's also a little bit more fat here that comes off. That can also be some things that we do with that, and I'll show you what to do with that in a second. And then if we flip this around the other way, now a lot of chefs don't take this chain that's on the other side off. That is something that I do take off. A lot of times it is just a single back strap and this is left on. But I'll show you, this here has a lot of fat on it as well. And then what you're left with is just the eye of the strip loin. Okay, and then as it goes down, as Elise was alluding to earlier, there's this part at the end where this cap comes on top of this. I'm going to get this out of the way and show you right here, right on the end, there's this piece that comes on top, and I'm going to butcher this off in just a second. And then there's this tissue that comes in there. In fact, this is called the tissue end because it's the end of the strip loin. That tissue end is really not something you want to be consuming. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So here I've got another strip loin that I've already cleaned down fully. All right. And then I just want to quickly cut some steaks out of this. I've got my scale here ready to go. Just want to make sure it's.
Oh, I challenge you.
This is
This
we want you to
is
cut
how
a
good you
perfect
are.
8-ounce steak, please.
8-ounce.
I'm going for 10 ounce.
Okay, that's
Okay,
okay.
10. We don't take 11 and we don't take 9. Terry.
My big badass knife. All right.
Don't mess this up, man. This is money. Oh, that's 11. Terry, it's 11.
Hold on.
You can lie and tell us anything, you see.
Exactly 10.
Yeah.
Okay, I was a little over.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, you say it's 11. You don't want to make Jay right. I know it's 11.
It's a good thing Ray's not coming in close to catch that. Right, so, I want to get into what. So anyway, you end up cutting steaks out of it that way. The 10-ounce. That's the typical steak that you'll see with a little bit of the fat left on the top. That fat adds flavor. You don't pull all of that off. You leave about 3/4 of it on. Some chefs take off more, some take off less. Whatever. It's not really a big deal on how much. That's a personal preference thing. Now, I do want to talk about this remaining here. This is the classic thing. You see this in restaurants all the time. All right. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to take a little bit more of this fat off. And that's called, generally speaking, a New York strip loin. All right. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to take off a little bit more of this fat and take this down further and take that off there. And you can see on this end right here, that tissue end right there, and this cap that comes on the top. I'll get to that in a second. But what I am going to do is this portion right here, I'm going to take this down and do what's called a Manhattan fillet. So a Manhattan fillet is when you take the strip loin and you can cut it into 2 sections if you really want, but generally speaking, it's just the side here. And take a little bit of this silver skin off. Okay.
Elise, if you see something wrong that Terry's doing, jump
Okay,
in.
I have to say I've never heard of a Manhattan strip before. Like, I have to tell you as well. Like, I trained as a butcher in the UK, and that's called a sirloin, not a strip loin. So it has a
Oh,
different
really?
name. Yeah, totally. And then where it goes into the tail, that actual muscle at the top is actually part of the what you call a sirloin and what we would call a rump steak. So I had to learn different names when I first came here. But a Manhattan is
Yeah.
not something I've ever seen. So that must a lot of steakhouses, they take a steak and then they name it after themselves, and that's when it becomes that. So there's quite a lot like that.
This is the Terry steak?
This is the Terry steak. You can name any steak you like. It's like
Oh, yeah.
naming stars. You just name a steak.
I'm totally fine with that. Let's
Totally. Yeah. Yes.
Terry,
You know what? There's no such thing. There's no such thing as a mistake in the butcher world. We just create new things all the time.
you make stuff up.
Yeah, we do make stuff up, 100%. And the amount of times a customer would come in and they'd be like, "I need a Manhattan," and we'd be like, "Yeah, I'll just go get that for you." And then we're in the back googling it. What is that? I don't know what that is.
I used to have guests come into the restaurant, and I loved going out to the dining room when I was the chef of whatever restaurant. I always go into the dining room, talk to guests, and guests would ask me, "Oh, is this fish line caught?" I'd be like, "Yes, absolutely. I was actually out in the lake today doing dinners, and I was fishing myself." It's all the story. You tell people what they want to hear. Absolutely.
Don't give all the secrets away.
Oh, sorry. I've never done that. Okay, so that's just a different way to cut a strip loin steak, something a little bit more interesting, and it looks like a tenderloin. Okay, that's just something different that I wanted to show everybody. Now, what the whole premise of today, though, is really trying to showcase not the things that we've seen before, like the strip loin, or maybe some of us have seen this Manhattan cut, but what to do when we get into this tissue end. So I just took off that end piece where I've got that tissue right there, and I want to show you what a lot of grocery stores do. And I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but I will if I have to. So if you can see this steak right here, there's this line going through it right.
Ray, can we get a close up, Ray?
So you see that line going?
Yeah, what is that?
That's a different muscle.
Right. So I was talking about this cap that comes on top of the side, the back end there.
Yeah.
So that tissue end there, that line right there, that's really tough and chewy membrane that runs through it. And a lot of times in grocery stores, they're selling you this at the same price as steaks cut out of the full section and selling it to you as a strip of steak.
Yeah, it's a completely different muscle.
That's why we eat at restaurants, Terry.
Yes, and that's why you got to go to a restaurant, because what a restaurant should be doing buying the whole strip loin, taking this tissue end, and what you can do with it is, and I'm just going to do it with the remaining piece that I have here. I'm going to take off the fat cap fully, like that, all the way down. All right.
So this would be a rump roast. This is a rump roast. This part.
Basically, yeah. So that little piece at the top, the little steak, is
Yeah.
basically the back end of the sirloin. So the whole sirloin right against this, and it's a different muscle group. So every muscle group has a tough kind of like connective tissue around the outside. So unfortunately, you've got two different steaks which need different cooking times in one steak. So when you have it all together, you're going to always have that little bit that's a little bit tougher at the top. Yeah.
All right. So absolutely, completely agree with what Elise is saying. So let's look at this. I'm going to kind of reconstruct it. So I had this tissue that was in between that membrane. This is what was sitting on top. And we had this fat that was sitting on top of that. And I cut that off of there. So, or this actually goes the other way like that, whatever. Okay. So disassembled again, that piece there and this piece, this is all stuff. You can't really do anything with this membrane here. That's really tough and chewy, okay? This stuff here, the fat, okay, we can take that and cut it into smaller pieces, all right? And then what you want to do with it is get it into a pot and just put it over low heat. I add a little bit of water, so let's imagine I get, all right, a pot, I get it in there. Now, imagine if I'm working in a restaurant and I'm doing 10, 15 of these in a day, which is not far off the mark, which I've done many places I've worked at. I'm getting a much bigger pot to do this. All right. Now, then we take a little bit of water, just a splash of water like that, put it on the stove top, and let that render out. Low and slow cooking, and that fat's going to melt. Okay. And then what that ends up looking like is this. Ray, you want to get a little closer? You see, so you see all that fat that's rendered out there?
Okay, yeah.
Delicious.
All right. So that fat is known as tallow, okay? Beef tallow.
That's that. That's what that is.
Yeah. It is, and truth be told, if anybody's believing a lot of the hype from, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, where the whole market was flooded with people saying, oh, fat is bad for you. It's not. Fat is good for you. In fact, beef is graded on the marbling, the amount of fat flakes that are through there. Now, not the membrane, but the fat flakes, the marbling. The more marbling, the better. Reason being is because fat literally equals flavor. So this rendered out beef fat is phenomenal flavor. That is not something I'm going to throw away. You could do a ton of different things with this. All right. What you can do is, let's say I'm searing off my steak. All right. Which in fact, I'm going to get that going. I'm going to do one of each of these. I'm going to crank my pan up on high. That I'm going to move off to the side. All right. Ray, do you want to switch over to this side?
So yeah, like beef fat, any fat that's been rendered is then classed as the tallow, and it's incredibly.
It doesn't matter if it's a different animal, or is it
No.
just beef?
Well, no, like you can do generally if it's a pig, it becomes lard, and you generally use the fat around the kidney, which is the leaf lard, which is that's where it's from. But the beef, like beef fat in particular, it's really good flavor and has a really high smoke point, so it's a really good oil for using for any cooking, basically. Yeah, it's really good.
So there's Terry.
Yeah, and actually, when Team Canada competed in the World Butcher Challenge, we actually made a candle out of the beef fat. So you can make it into candles, yeah, and you can make it into soap as well.
Well, that's another show we're gonna have making
Candle
with Terry.
making, yeah. I joke saying I'm a butcher, baker, and a candlestick maker, but I say gin and tonic maker instead of candlestick maker.
Terry, is that the next show we're gonna do candles with Terry?
Hey, so can we use duck fat? Because that should be the next show. Let's do
Duck fat, yeah. Duck fat doesn't solidify just the same as beef fat, but it does a little bit. It has to stay cold.
I'll make it work. Okay, so I got my pan nice and smoking hot with the beef tallow, and I'm gonna get my.
Okay, wait. We gotta. Okay, slow down here, because you're losing me. I love this. Okay, you put the beef. So you. Hey, let me just recap here, okay? Because I'm slow. Okay, you took the fat off. You boiled it down. You got like this really fancy dancy tallow. You put the tallow back into the frying pan. Frying pan is on what, medium or high?
Aye.
Pans around 3/4 of the way, so medium
Okay.
high, 75%.
Okay, and then you throw the steak on there.
Yep.
Yeah, I worked in a lot of restaurants. I've never, I don't, we never did this. This is crazy cool.
I'm not a huge fan of grilling steaks, especially indoors in a restaurant, because you're not getting charcoal flavor on there, which is the whole point of grilling. When you sear something in a cast iron pan, that whole face of it is going to get charred and browned, and that's where the flavor comes from. Some people also claim that searing locks in juices. That's a disproven myth. That does not happen. It does not lock in juices. All right. It adds more flavor because the whole face of it is going to have that Maillard reaction, which tastes delicious. That's why searing in a cast iron is much more beneficial.
Okay, so we have a question that came in from Sean here. So the porterhouse should not exist. LOL.
Not really.
No?
No, because
No?
you've got two steaks that require a completely different cooking time. So you'll either have, generally as a rule, I've seen a lot of recipes for cooking porterhouse where you start cooking it and then you take the tenderloin piece out and then finish cooking the strip loin side and then cut it and then put it all back together after. Because the tenderloin does not need as much cooking time as a strip loin.
So that's technically, so okay, I'm confused a little bit. I'll get through it. Terry, save me here, man.
Well, I completely agree, and that's because a strip loin will generally have more fat marbling through it, whereas
Yep.
a tenderloin does not. Tenderloins are very lean, therefore you can eat them medium rare or rare even. With my ribeye, I actually take it further. I'm a big fan of ribeye, but I'll take it further and I'll go medium on a ribeye because there's so much marbling in it. I want that fat to render out a little bit, kind of like this, because I want that flavor to permeate through the meat. A tenderloin doesn't have that, and a strip loin has a little bit more. So I completely
So
agree.
Ray, can you get some close-ups of this frying pan thing here? I'm blown away here, but okay, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, and in this and the society that we live in now, with nose to tail eating becoming more popular, it fascinates me that it's only now that we've realized that you can use the fat. Like, I know my grandparents, they always had like just a tub of fat, like a jar of fat next to the cooker, and whenever they cooked anything, if there was any fat left in the pan, they would just pour it into this jar, and then that's what they would use to cook the meat going forward. So as long as you've got no bits of meat in, the fat actually keeps incredibly well, and you can just keep using it to cook with. So it's totally delicious.
So I want to show you guys something here, what I'm going to do. So I just got a bowl of butter, all right?
We got a great shot of your legs there. That was good. I like that. We got steak and legs in that shot.
Mary's in Kelowna. It's still summer there.
Oh, okay.
I think 20 degrees here yesterday.
Terry, you don't do that. We don't talk temperature.
Actually, we're okay. It's meant to be 20 this weekend. Yeah.
Okay, so
So what are you doing? What are you doing?
full of butter, and I'm going to pour in some of my tallow into here while that's going.
Why do they call it tallow?
I don't know actually why it's called tallow. I'm not sure what the
Terry,
name is.
do you know why it's called tallow? You guys are not butchers. You're supposed to lie to me and just tell me something nice.
We could have made
Well,
something.
Jay,
We could have made something up.
Sir Tallow back in 1849.
Tallow and the butter. I've got some fresh chopped thyme. This is a garlic confit puree. When I post this video up onto my YouTube, I'm going to put a link. I did a video on roasted garlic or garlic confit, and did a video on it. This is probably one of my most favorite ingredients that I put into everything. So I'm going to put some of this roasted garlic puree into that tallow mixture that I have there with the butter, and then just mix this up and make a smooth paste out of it. And then once these steaks are cooked, I'm going to brush the steaks with this tallow butter.
Nice. You could also set that into a compound butter, yeah, as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well,
Oh,
essentially, this is
nice.
a compound butter, but generally speaking, what Elise I think is referring to is when you roll it up and saran wrap into a log, and
Yep.
then chill that down, and then you cut rondelles or little.
I do that all the time, Terry.
No, it's delicious though. You just put it on your steak when it's finished. It's like the only sauce you need on a steak.
Terry, how long you been cooking for? I can tell it's been many years you've been behind the.
I am now in my 27th year working in restaurants, so almost 30.
Yeah, I hate to tell you, buddy, I beat you by 3.
You see, I've been a butcher for 27 years as well, so that's good. We're all on the
This is my 32nd. Actually, coming up to my 33 years in this industry.
really.
So
Yeah.
take a look. I just flipped those guys over.
Whoa. Like, okay, here's what screwed me up as a kid. My parents cooked pork chops that way and just beat them up.
Well, it depends on the protein that you go in. They're nice thick steaks, you know, like, and there is some argument in the food in the steak world. So there's some like people recommended the just keep flipping method, where you literally just keep flipping it over and over every few like 30
Yeah.
seconds.
Really?
Yeah, because it stops it overcooking at the edges. It's just
Yeah.
you're just applying enough heat to start cooking it through to the
Okay.
center. Like I don't mind how you cook it as long as you don't go over medium, and then you're fine.
Don't make sure you make that just right so I can watch you eat it later, Terry.
Absolutely. Ray's going to come into the shot.
Exactly.
We're in the wrong place. We're in the
I
wrong
know.
place.
Every show's the same way.
Oh, you just have to watch and not get to taste
So
any of it.
what are you doing now, Terry? What are you doing?
Okay, so while those steaks are in the oven, I'm going to show everybody what we can do with these pieces here, because this is the premise of the show, is how to utilize these pieces. So I've used up the fat to render and make the tallow butter, as well as to sear the steak in. All right. Now, these pieces, what do we do with them? Okay. I'm going to show you guys with this end here that was on the bottom part. So remember, this was sitting on top with that tissue in between. All right. I'm going to take this and cut it almost directly in half there. And then each one of these halves, I'm going to cut into pieces like this. All right. Take a look at that. All right. So we've got those sections there. And what I'm going to do is I've got a little bit of soy sauce here. And one thing I'm going to grab, I have, where is it? Ginger. Ginger keeps well in the freezer, by the way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, and you can microplane it straight from
Really?
yeah.
Could have had this handy. Bad me. Okay, so I'm just going to take the ginger. And by the way, ginger does not need to be peeled. Everybody's peeling ginger with a spoon, wasting time. Leave it. It's fine. The skin's just a little bit spicy. Chill out, everybody.
You know what? I actually find the spoon method is the worst method anyway. Like because you always get it in your eyes. Like I don't know what it is. It's just like no, it's terrible. It just you get ginger juice in your eyes if you do that. Trust me.
What? How are you doing?
Seriously, I don't know. I'm clearly doing it wrong. I'm better with a knife than I am a spoon.
Come on,
But,
Terry.
like,
You haven't
seriously,
heard ginger juice in your
I
eyes
know
lately?
it's
Come on, buddy.
terrible.
Ton of jokes right now, but I'm going to be a good boy.
Yeah, we don't need to get Jay in trouble.
I only peel it when I need it for a cocktail. But yeah.
So Terry, we're going to break for a quick commercial while you get ready for that next thing. We'll be right back here, folks, with a quick, as Terry gets into what are you doing now? What's that?
I'm
You're
going
gonna
to put
put
the beef in the ginger and soy.
Oh my god. And you wonder why I picked you, man. You're awesome. Here we go. We'll be right back after this. Here we go. So, Chef Terry, we're back in SBK. What? Did you carve all that up?
I cut up the other piece. It's just the same.
Oh, the big pile of meat there.
Oh, this? That's what we do now? Aren't you paying attention?
Yes, I am. I'm trying, Terry. I'm trying, buddy. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Okay, but you gotta pay attention sometimes.
Dude, what are you doing? What are you doing there with that soy sauce? Did you put anything else in there? Brown sugar?
No, it was just the soy, the ginger. It was a really dark soy, by the way. It was dark soy that I had.
Could you use ponzu?
No, not ponzu. It was just
Ponzu?
No,
Ponzu?
it's citrusy, so you'd almost like start cooking it. Like it's
Oh,
like a
yeah?
citrus. You could use tamari if you needed a gluten-free
Ah,
version.
there you go.
tamari is soy sauce. It's a great thing to use if anybody's got a gluten allergy or celiac, because tamari does not have gluten in it.
Oh, that's a good idea. That would be good. That's what I would have used. No.
Okay, so we're gonna come back over here, and I want to come on over here. All right, I've been having.
Hey, Ray, stay away from that phone as much as you can because it's hitting me back up on the mic. Please.
All right.
Yeah, look at this. So how hot's that frying pan, Terry? How hot's that frying pan?
I shouldn't have been using the veg oil. Why am I using veg oil when I've got the tallow?
Oh,
Well, that you just blew the bank there, buddy.
I caught myself. Please have me back for another show.
Exactly. We'll try. We'll try, buddy.
Okay,
So how hot's that frying pan? Is it super hot?
Yeah.
Now, at least do you want to cook? Do you want to cook stuff like this hot, or cold, like medium? Like I don't.
yeah. If you're
like,
cooking steak, you really do want it to be high. You shouldn't be cooking it slow because you're almost like you kind of you braise. You kind of like you'll never get a brown sear if
Mhm.
it's too wet in the pan. So if the meat's too wet, like I know Terry talked about the aging. So like the way he had it set up on the cooling rack over the top of the sheet pan is perfect. Like not everybody has the space in their fridge to do that. But if your meat is wet, so the purge that comes off of meat is hemoglobin basically, and you need to get rid of that. It's not blood that's in the bag, it's hemoglobin, which is a water soluble protein, and you need to get rid of that, otherwise you'll never get that nice brown sear on the outside. It'll just look depressingly gray instead of nice and brown. So it is important for it to be dry and your pan to be hot so you get a nice sear.
So there, Terry. Why'd you poke the steak? What did you do there? What did you do?
It's the finger test, you know how done it is. Yeah.
How tender it is by feeling it, right? Like working in a restaurant, we're not sticking probes into it every 2 minutes to make sure it's cooked to the doneness that we want. This is how we check. This is very rare right now, so this guy's going to go back in the oven. Whereas this guy here is a little bit more firm. I'm just going to let that rest. And it's really important, by the way, to let it rest on a rack. Sometimes people let it rest directly on a baking tray flat, but then that steam is going to collect on the bottom, and then what it's going to do is it's going to make the soften the bottom so you don't have that crunch.
Nobody wants a soggy bottom.
No,
Never. No.
Yes, Terry. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, why does that look really good?
Oh, my God, it smells amazing.
For those shows,
I know you have to watch and you can't taste any of it.
It's
Like
the worst
I
part.
feel like that's really bad. We should be cooking along.
Terry, what are you doing now? What are you doing?
So I'm just getting ready for the steaks down the road. I made a peppercorn sauce.
From scratch?
Yeah, I'm doing a few things at once. I'm multitasking. I know you haven't been in restaurants.
Is that peppercorn? Is that peppercorn sauce from scratch, Terry, or did you cheat?
Yeah. Here. So actually, that's one thing I wanted to talk about. There's here. So when making peppercorn sauce, buy green peppercorns.
Oh.
All right, you find them in the aisle with all the pickled veg. Like pickled beets, pickled
Yeah.
cucumbers, pickles. Sometimes I've seen people make peppercorn sauce out of black pepper, whole black pepper. That is gross, wrong, way too strong. Green peppercorns, milder, quite a different flavor on it. Okay, so now that I've got those seared off, we're going to talk about peppercorn sauce a little bit more in just a second. I just got to get this off the heat. Okay, let those rest for a quick second. I'm going to get this out of the way. All right, so this peppercorn sauce that I've got heating up here, I actually did with red wine and bourbon. Phenomenal. Okay, so that's warm, ready to go. Okay, let's switch back over here, Ray.
Ray, you're doing a great camera woman job.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm going to get Ray's going to come in here. We're going to switch it up. I'm going to hold the camera, and she's going to try the beef. Yeah.
All right. You didn't know that was coming, eh, Ray?
Okay, so these
That's
beef
banana
Satays-
leaf. I used to use banana leaf in my place.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What, just for plating though?
Yeah.
Ah, it does make everything
Well,
look
you
very
know,
cool.
surprisingly, if you do it right, it's cheaper than doilies and things like that.
Really?
Ah.
And does it actually impart any flavor?
No.
It does when
Well, you cook with it.
like tamales, like the
Yeah.
Mexicans do the
Yeah.
tamales. Then it imparts flavor because it's steaming out for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah. And I personally don't like that flavor, but some people do.
And with the plastic ban coming in, this could be the perfect thing, you know.
Terry, what kind of gloves are those?
These are black nitrile gloves.
Did we send you those?
No, you didn't send me these ones.
Yeah. All right. Don't look at that box.
Was I supposed to do a product shot? I'm sorry.
No. That's okay. We'll edit that out. Thanks, Terry.
So I like the fact that you're putting the skewers in afterwards, because too
Whoa,
often I
whoa,
see
whoa,
people
okay.
setting
Yeah,
fire
yeah,
to their
yeah,
skewers.
yeah. Well,
That's
no,
super smart.
Terry.
Thank you for pointing that out. As Jay was focused on the gloves that I was using, I wanted to say that skewering the beef after it's seared is way better than trying to put it on the grill. I see people putting it on the grill and they're burning their skewers. Why? Sear it first, then skewer. Way nicer to do it that way. All right, and then I'm going to get the glove off. All right, I have here a little bit of peanut sauce that I made, which, you know what, I'm just going to put it on there like that. All right, that way people can put it on there. I've got, oh, and by the way, peanut sauce I use now. I used to use sriracha a lot, although you don't see that anymore. It's tough to find. I started using gochujang, which is why it's got a little bit of a different color to it. Phenomenal gochujang.
So Terry.
Yeah.
Let's backtrack a little bit here. What is this meat again that you cooked here? Where does that come from again? On that strip?
Okay, so if you recall, when we trimmed out the strip loin, okay, and we had that piece of meat that was underneath.
Yeah.
That's the one that I trimmed into it was long like that.
Okay, yeah.
So it was underneath this piece right here.
Yeah.
So it's still a strip loin technically, but it's not a full strip loin because you pulled that cap off. Yeah.
Imagine you're a restaurateur and you've got those tissue ends, which a lot of restaurateurs, they don't know what to do with it, so they end up grinding it up and making meatballs out of it. All right?
Way too expensive.
Out of leave it. All right? So this way, you can sell each one of these Satays at a wedding event or a corporate Christmas party. A lot of Christmas events are coming up. You sell each one of these for $5 on your hors d'oeuvre menu. You are making a killing off of that. Yeah. All right? Maybe you bump it up. Maybe you make it a 2-ounce piece and sell it for $7.50. Okay? It's a lot more beneficial that way. So there I've got the Satays with a little bit of peanut sauce and the green onions on there. And because It's peanut sauce, a little bit of peanut garnish on there.
Delicious. What a great appy that is.
So Ray, do you want to taste it? Do you want to have a little taste?
So Ray's gonna taste.
Ray, we're gonna taste. Ray taste. All right, Ray. Here we go. It's funny. Here we go. If it doesn't taste good, Ray just tell us the truth. It's okay.
Just
That Ray, you don't have to lie.
Poor Terry.
I'm super excited though to make a peanut sauce with gochujang. I've never done that before. Now I love gochujang. It's so good.
Is that good?
Is it chewy or is it chewy? It's not chewy.
Beautiful. There we go. Nice.
Amazing.
There you go, Terry.
Keep eating. I'm not allowed back in the shot.
All right. Well, let's let Ray eat, and we're gonna run a quick commercial while you get ready for your next one. Okay. We'll be right back, folks, after this with Chef Terry and a whole bunch of meat in his in his kitchen. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with Chef Terry in his shorts.
Can't help it. Summer's still here.
Again, you're not supposed to say that to anyone who's in Alberta right now. That's not fair.
Why do you think I left Alberta?
Do you know what? The good thing about the snow is no mosquitoes.
Fair.
That's probably the only thing.
That's the only thing. Mountains are nice.
What?
Mountains.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
No, don't start talking. You don't. Okay, you don't talk about the people in Kelowna because we know it's pretty there. Don't do
Do you know
that.
what though? Alberta has the best beef. Like
Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah,
it really
We
does.
do, and that's probably what that is. And that's probably what that is right there on that counter, right there.
Okay, so may I continue or?
No, we're gonna keep talking about the weather. Yes, please continue.
So let's forget about the weather because it is beautiful here. You're missing out. But so now this piece that we had, that cap end that was coming on top of that, also still very tender. What I'm going to do with it is I'm just going to trim it in half like this. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut kind of these cubes out of it. All right. Just like this. All right. Now you might think, well, those are kind of like stewing beef pieces. Well, yes, but we're not going to stew it. This is going to be made into some pieces for beef stroganoff, which is a beautiful pasta dish that isn't very common. It used to be. Unfortunately, there's a company that made a fast version of it that like a hamburger helper. I don't remember what it was, but you make a real stroganoff from scratch, and it's phenomenal. And that's what we're going to do right now. So
you're using cubes. You're using cubes rather than like strips. So like if we were like in England, like if someone asked you for stroganoff, you would almost cut it into like a stir fry into strips. So that's super cool that you're using like cubes.
Yeah. So again, just to be a little bit.
That was a compliment, Terry. Jeez.
Thank you. Is that
No, yeah, like I just think no, you're gonna get way more flavor, like nice big meaty bits in there. That's awesome.
so? I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, so I've got the tallow, tallow, not buttered. I've got the tallow by itself heating up to sear that beef in. But while that's happening, I do want to talk about the tallow butter that I have here. I made this earlier, remember, with the thyme, the roasted garlic, butter, and the tallow. I am going to season it up a little bit with salt and pepper. Okay, and now, while we were on break, I pulled out the steak that I had in the oven. All right, I don't want this to fall over. Let's see if I can find something stable here.
I forgot about that steak in the oven.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So here we've got the steak. Let me just come right over here. This is going to be easier. So this is now cooling down or resting, sorry, and I'm going to brush it with this tallow butter.
Oh my
All
goodness.
right? Yeah, and it's just going to take it to a whole nother level. I've seen places where they also add truffle oil to this as well. You could do a lot of different things to it, taking it a lot of different directions.
Roasted bone
I was
marrow.
gonna say we should do like a warning on that, Terry. That looks too good.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going to get that there and that there.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if I can handle it, buddy. That looks so good.
Okay, so now I've got the peppercorn sauce that I was talking about. A little bit of cream is going to go in there, and I'm going to get that on the heat just cranked. All right, while that's on, the beef that I have here is going to go in the pan that's nice and hot right now. And I'm going to let that sear for the stroganoff. All right. I'm sorry, I'm switching back and forth to a lot of different things here.
That's okay. It's okay.
We kind of want to get done on time.
Yeah, I think we're okay. What do you do? So what's that? That's the tallow?
Oh, the
This is the
Peppercorn.
sauce that I added cream to. Just heating that up. I am going to.
Kind of. Would you just do like regular cream, Terry?
I'm sorry.
Just regular cream?
35% cream or 33% cream. Now.
Sure, legs like that, man. That's oat milk.
No, those legs were sponsored by Tallow.
Exactly. Those legs are made by Tallow.
Oh man, that's gonna be so good.
I love that the green peppercorns look amazing on the top there as well.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull that back a little bit so I can grab.
So Terry, what are some of the mistakes that people do with peppercorns other than the black pepper? Do they add red wine or like what do they do sometimes?
Red wine is good. You generally want some sort of cognac or some booze as well. So red wine and a booze. I used to drink. I don't drink anymore, but when I used to drink, bourbon was my go-to choice. So whenever I'm doing barbecue or sauces or stuff like that, I love using bourbon. Just a little bit different, and it has a beautiful flavor to it. I still find. All right, now let's cut into this.
Okay, just give me a second. The camera just getting choppy. Give me a second. You're freezing. Freeze. Oh my God. Why'd you do that?
Perfection.
This is hard, hey, Elise?
Yeah, it is. I'm
It's
going
really,
home. I'm going home to cook
Are
some
you?
steak.
So am I. I don't know about you, but I rarely have steak anymore. I think Terry just nailed that. Just increase sales on steak. There you go. Yeah, that's good, eh? Big shout out to Cargill as well for supporting us on this, our Butcher's Block. Thank you, Cargill, and thank you, Clint.
All right, so now I just want to show you, we have the beef strip loin that's been searing.
And Tallow.
All right, so that's searing in beef fat. All right, and that's going to get that caramelization or Maillard reaction. Whenever proteins sear and brown, that's called the Maillard reaction. It's kind of like caramelizing, but for proteins. All right, so that's searing in beef fat. So remember what I was mentioning off the top of the show, that fat equals flavor. By using that tallow to sear it in, one, we're saving the costs of buying vegetable oil or using olive oil to do it because we've saved that from rendering the fat off of the top. All right? Any beef fat that you have, don't throw it out. Render it off. Save it. Like you were talking about, when you were younger, your family had that little jar that's on the side of the stove top. Do that in a restaurant. It'll save you a ton of money. And let's be honest, veg oil went crazy in price for a while there. There were a lot of restaurateurs that were looking at different ways of frying things because veg oil went through the roof.
So what? Like I've heard people use olive oil. Is that right?
Not for frying, no. It doesn't have. It's not got high enough smoke point. You kind of lose its flavor when you cook it.
I think it makes things taste.
It's great for dressing. It's great for finishing.
Yeah.
It's
but just not cooking.
No.
I totally agree. I wouldn't use olive oil for cooking, unless it's a light heat. If you're going a high heat, you'll kill any benefits that you have out of the olive oil, as well as any flavor. It dies. It disappears.
Okay, I want steak and olive oil. Like I'm gonna have bread and olive oil tonight.
That's it. Just dip this. You use olive oil to dip the bread in, and then you just have a giant steak cooked in fat, in beef fat.
Beef fat.
Yeah,
Terry said
you can buy tallow. But why would you buy it when you've got a supply there?
What are you doing now? What are you doing, Terry?
Okay, so I seared the beef. I don't want it to overcook, so I pull it off when it's still rare and let it sit there. So I'm finishing off the stroganoff. I'm going to pour off some of the excess fat because I don't need it all. Now, if I were, come on over, Ray. If I were in a restaurant right now, this is when I would start searing off my mushrooms along with the onions and garlic. But I've already done that, and I also added some beef stock to it, some heavily reduced beef stock. Okay? And that will go in the pan.
It's hard, isn't it?
There's
like
too many good things happening right now.
Okay, so a stroganoff is defined by a few things. One is beef, obviously. Two is mushrooms. Three is gherkins, small sweet pickles that are diced up. Those are going to go in.
Gherkins. Gherkin. They don't big in London.
Yeah, I'm going to say gherkin. Well, like a pickled. It's usually smaller. That's a gherkin.
Yeah.
You don't call it gherkins here, though, do you?
I think we do. What, Terry?
This is what they look like when they're
I know what a gherkin is.
It's a little.
Hey, I'm British, man. I know this stuff. I get this. I think I was raised on.
Some of the pickle juice.
Oh, pickle juice.
Pickle juice.
What's also important is.
Sorry. I'm dying.
We're killing you with all this good food.
Yeah, this is tough, Terry.
My apologies. Am I supposed to apologize for that?
No, I'm just booking you for the candle show next week.
Have I already got the invite in my email?
Exactly, yeah. Terry's candle show next week.
My addition is adding a plethora of this garlic.
How did you get that garlic so creamy?
I will post a link in this video in the description.
You did a video on that, right?
Confit garlic in oil. So it's literally poaching garlic in oil and then straining it once it's done and pureeing the garlic.
Okay, you puree it. Okay.
And you'll be able to use the garlic as well. Like you've got then garlic, homemade garlic oil. Yeah.
So I just added some sour cream to that as well.
Any kind of sour cream, Terry?
What's that?
Any kind of sour cream, or does it matter?
I generally buy high-fat sour cream. I don't buy anything fat-free. The higher the fat content, the better. Fat equals flavor across the board.
I'm with you on that.
Mm-hmm. If you use a lower fat sour cream, is there a risk it would split as well?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's the point. Okay, so I've got
I knew that.
noodles turn quickly in the water. All right, I'm going to finish my sauce off with a lot of parsley chiffonade.
Also known as parsley.
I finally shaped parsley.
Also known as cut up parsley.
Sounds way sexier though.
I know.
Chiffonade sounds way better than just I chopped up some parsley.
Terry, this is our first show together. He's gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm good, Jay. Yeah, one's good. I'm good for I'm no more.
One and done.
One and done." What are you doing there? What are you doing? What are you doing now? What did you do? Took the noodles? Oh yeah, get a little flapping in there. Gotta get that in there.
This is one thing I'm going to talk about right now, that before you plate anything, all right, really important that you add love. Love is an ingredient. You have to add the love, all right? How do you add love? Well, before you put food in front of somebody, taste it, all right? That needs more salt. All right, here we go. Starting to get a little. Okay, so now I've added the love. I cared for it. I made sure that when I put it in front of the guests, they're going to enjoy it because I've checked the seasoning. All right, now we're going to switch over here. The beef is in. Last second. Okay, I'm going to get my plate out. Beautiful. Man, I'm surrounded by beef here.
Who's Ray? I hope you're not doing the dishes.
That doesn't seem like a bad problem to have. Surrounded by beef.
Now I'm gonna do a cool little design thing here.
I'll do the smear. You did the smear.
Is that still a thing in restaurants? Yeah.
The smear.
The schmear.
Terry. That's a Kelowna schmear. That's the Kelowna schmear. It's all I see out of Kelowna is the schmear. What are you doing there? What are you doing?
Oh, now you want to know what I'm doing. All right.
Okay, I'm sold, dude. That's a beautiful plate.
The schmear looks it looks good on the black plate. It looks really, really good.
And that was the thing. It was a color contrast decision that I made. So please live with it.
Thanks, Terry. Ray, you're having a great supper tonight.
She's excited about what she's gonna have soon.
This is great.
Garnish-wise, I'm gonna get a little bit more sour cream on there. I'm gonna get a little bit of the paprika on there, and then those little gherkins that we had.
Are you serious? You're putting gherkins on top of that? Really?
Yes.
Okay, I've never had gherkins on a Strog. That's awesome.
It's like putting capers in something. It's just that little pickly kind of.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
It's one of those additions that you kind of question, like, that's really odd. But if you think about all the ingredients that are in here, we've got beef stock that's been heavily reduced. We've got the mushrooms, the beef itself, the pasta, the sour cream, the roasted garlic. There's a lot of richness, a lot of umami there. What the
umami, I love it too.
Help kind of cut that richness so it's not fatty. It's smooth and creamy versus feeling heavy. So that's really, really important for.
And can you go back, Terry, on what piece of meat you used there in that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I used on this was, I'll just flip back in here. So when I cut off that tissue end, this was the cap that comes off of the top there. You can see that tissue.
Yeah.
Loin.
The top there, the bottom part. This bottom part is what I used for the Satays. So this piece
Yeah.
And then the top is where I diced all the meat for the Stroganoff.
Okay.
All right,
Salt.
and I'm gonna get in here and taste this because I'm really excited myself.
Yeah. Well,
Oh my god!
I'm exhausted watching you.
I know it is. Aren't you a little I'm a little tired
Yeah,
too.
I feel like I've done a workout.
Yeah, it's a good workout, Terry.
Oh my god! I love this pasta. That is so good. That is unreal. So now I do want to mention that all the items that I did here today, I'm going to recreate these on my own channel, my Elite Chef Masterclass is the channel that I have, and I'm going to recreate them, showing step by step, because I jumped through this pretty quick to try and get everything done for everybody here today, but I'll repost as we get through the next few weeks the step-by-step process and tag in any videos that I've already done to help facilitate putting these dishes together for everybody.
Perfect. Awesome. Any last words, Terry, on beef? What you need to be watching right now?
When you go to the grocery store and you're buying strip loin steaks, just please avoid that tissue end, and even tell the butcher that that's not something that they should be selling as a steak, because it's going to be tough and chewy on that membrane. But truthfully, stop taking it off the menu. If you have concerns, utilize the fat, utilize the tissue end. You're going to have pieces that you can grind up and do something else with. Like I've got some trim here that I showed that I had it from earlier. That trim can be ground up as well. So anytime you're cleaning the back end of it, trimming off some of the stuff off the bottom, save that and grind that up for meatballs. There's lots of different things that you can do to make a strip loin profitable. It does. Please stop buying the pre-portioned ones if you're a restaurateur. Way smarter to buy the whole thing.
Cool. Awesome. Elise, what do you think?
I think that was amazing. I'm gonna go make some steak.
Are you gonna go make some
I'm gonna
steak?
go make some steak. I need steak.
I'm gonna go make some tallow.
You should. Everyone should have tallow. Seriously.
Throw some shorts on, make some tallow.
Yep.
Terry.
I gotta start cleaning up.
I know poor Ray's got to do cleaning.
That's the one thing we
You
don't
better-
get to taste the food, but at least we
No,
don't have to do the washing
we
up.
don't have to wash things up. So once again, Terry, thank you again for all the hard work you did today. Great ideas around the Striploin. At least thanks for dropping in today.
No
And
worries. This was awesome.
this is what we do on the SDK Network: bring amazing chefs like Terry into the world to share across our beautiful country and across the United States. So we're back again, folks. Next week, we got the TikTok show starting on Monday back again with Chef Richard. He's back. We take TikTok videos that we see recipes and we try to recreate them for recipes.
Oh, I
That's
promised my
pretty cool.
children I wouldn't go onto TikTok.
Yeah, you don't need to. You just need to learn the recipes.
Okay.
Right. So, and then Terry, we'll have you back in a little bit. You'll be done that meal by the time we have him back for another show. And yeah, we have a great week. We're the only live show that airs every week, Monday to Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, on every social channel that's out there. A reminder to follow us and to subscribe, because then you get notification like we did earlier that we are live. And yes, thanks again for everyone that joined us today. And we'll be up on demand on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Spotify. Do you have Spotify, please?
No.
You should get Spotify.
Oh yeah.
We're on there. We're on there.
Oh.
You can watch it. You don't have to just listen to the podcast. You can actually
Oh.
watch this. And to everyone else, have a great day.
We get to see his legs on the.
We get to see his legs. Yes.
Great.
Carrying his legs. Thank you, Terry. Thank you. So everyone else, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.